Hello， 大家好，我是部长。现在的时间呢，凌晨的4点12分。那今天呢，就是很荣幸可以获得邀请，可以采访查克史奈德跟他的老婆 Deborah Snyder。那我今天就有准备了几题，然后准备要来问。那问的方式应该会是轮流一个一个问，然后呢就是时间就是20分钟。所以呢，我就有准备一些，然后我们就来看看他的反应怎么样。然后我其实现在有点紧张，那我们就马上来进入这次的一个网络视讯的联访吧。那到最后呢，我就来跟大家讲一讲，就这次访问完的一些感想啊。
No, it's awesome. It's unbelievable. We always say, like, this movie has no business existing. Why does it exist? But it's awesome. Those are the best things, right? The ones that, you know, you're getting because you shouldn't be getting it. And yeah, no, the fandom has been amazing. Look, you know, it's a 100% a fact that this movie was inspired by the fandom as far as its existence. And there literally would be no movie. And so we're super, you know, thankful, of course, to the fans, and you know, I can't say that enough.
And also, I mean, the fact that the fans also took a cause, like for everything that they wanted along the way to get this movie made, the fact that they took something that was so personal to us, but also I think right now in the world that is so important by generating, you know, so much money and awareness for mental health and, you know, suicide prevention. That's been just remarkable to see.
You know, in a lot of ways, the movie's like just kind of a thank you to the fans for that work, because in the end, that's really the most important thing, you know. As far as the story goes, I mean, clearly and famously, we had a plan to make more movies. I mean, I think you can judge that by the end of this movie. It definitely doesn't like say, okay, that's it. But on the other hand, you know, Warner Brothers they've expressed no real interest in continuing the relationship with us. And, you know, they publicly, you know, Walter has said that, you know, this movie is, you know, they count the theatrical cut as canon. They say we use the theatrical cut as that's how we go forward. And I've never seen that, so I don't know exactly what that means.
It was such a long journey to get here. And quite honestly, we just finished the movie a couple weeks ago because there's so many versions you do for the service that I think just to catch our breath and enjoy this moment, because it took so many people.
Yeah, our heads are literally spinning still.
Yeah, like hard work to get here. So it's nice to just kind of relish where we are right now.
Look, I have a shirt with a collar on, so it's clearly I carry it.
Well, I really love the iris and flash sequence because, listen, I think it's a lot of fun. You get to see you know, his powers a little bit more, but I also just like the juxtaposition of the, you know, this car crash and these flying hot dogs with this, you know, really emotional movie, because it's, you know, that dichotomy really works music. For me. Music, yeah. Yeah, that's fun. That's a great, and by the way, always one of my favorite sequences. When I drew that, originally it was drawn almost exactly as it's shot, and it was fun sequence to do. And then for me, it's like really just Cyborg's journey and Cyborg learning his powers and just sort of his origin and getting to kind of know him and really sort of go through that deep dive with him, because he's so awesome in the movie and weirdly so meta to the struggle of the film in a lot of ways. It's become like really this incredibly, you know, what happened to the movie and what happens to Cyborg are like weirdly intertwined in this impossible way. So yes, I think Cyborg for me. I think probably maybe like Halo. Halo to me is like a kind of untapped, it's such a giant IP and so massive, and it's just never really been 100%. Like we don't have it.
You know what I mean?
Talking about a movie.
As a movie,
As a
yeah,
movie.
as a movie. I think it'd be Here's a War, maybe too, but I think, frankly, the IP and the mythology is fully developed. You know, you could set a any story in the Halo world, and you know, and they're Spartans, so it kind of I feel the closeness to that. Yeah, I talked to Jim about it. We literally had a plan to do a comic book, a huge run. We were going to do basically a comic book based on the whiteboard that I released in Dallas, that I have up in Dallas. I don't think it was released because that was problematic. But I know you've all seen it, so don't pretend like you haven't. Anyway, so there was a comic book that we were going to base on that, and then I wanted to do a mini run on the Joker Robin whole series, like a run on what was happening with Batman, what was happening with Joker, and what was happening with Robin, and just that story as its own sort of micro story. And we were super into it, and then I think when there was the AT&T and there was a bunch of switches and a bunch of cuts, and the budget got cut, he said maybe in the future if there's fan support, but we'll see. I'm not sure. I mean, listen, I'm working on a bunch of ideas right now. We're trying to sort of maybe create, some big giant IP of our own that we can run that doesn't need necessarily to be put to the committee as far as what's right and what's wrong. But it's really, I love working in the comic book genre. Clearly I've been doing it for 11 years, longer, 14 years since, Watchmen, and you can go all the way to 300 if you want, because those are all comic book movies. So yeah, I am not afraid of comic book movies, but it's nice to. It'd be nice to kind of try something else a little bit.
It's also been fun to return to the zombie genre.
Yeah.
And we really look forward to.
The Army is.
We're at the same time as we're launching this. We're still finishing Army of the Dead.
Yeah, we're only on the last.
We're still
the last couple shots, literally. So that movie is I'm literally finishing it right now. So it's.
好了，那这次的访问就是圆桌的访问呢，就是联访结束了。这次这样子的一个访谈参与过程还蛮特别的，因为其实之后应该有蛮多作品都会想要参考用这种方式，或者已经是在用这种方式在进行联访。然后呢，它的方式就是等于是我们会一群人先进到一个房间去。然后呢，会有一个主持人，然后他们会先让大家安顿在这边，确定大家就是譬如说麦克风 OK， 然后整个讯号或者就是确定说你人有在，然后呢他会这个私讯你一个另外一个房间，那个房间就是Zack Snyder 跟他的老婆 Deborah 他们在的地方，然后呢就进去之后就是也是等，然后就是听大家问的问题。已经早上6点多，已经天亮吧。那就是希望各位会喜欢这一次查克史奈德回答其他人的这个问题。你有没有听到你们喜欢的答案？查克史奈德的版本的正义联盟就是已经来了哦，所以赶快把它给看起来吧，4个小时多吧，对不对？总有6集，4个小时多，赶快把它看起来。我们就是来看看说到底会有哪些不一样的地方。好了，那就是喜欢的话记得按赞、订阅跟分享。如果想要加入我们的官方 LINE 群组跟这个讨论群呢，都可以在资讯栏找到我。好，那我是部长，我们就下部影片再见喽，不久。